What is going on, viewers and subscribers? Jay Silver from SNNTEC, and today I have the early 2013 MacBook Pro Retina, and I'm going to give you my rundown, review, and thoughts on this piece of tech. So let me start off by introducing the model that I purchased. The model that I purchased is the latter version with the 16 gigs of RAM, and the specs goes a little something like this. It's a 2.7 gigahertz Core i7 quad core, with the virtual cores. So basically it's going to have 8 virtual cores with 4 actual cores, and it can turbo boost up to 3.7 gigahertz. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a 16 gigabyte of RAM. It runs at 1600 megahertz and is DDR3. The GPU paired with this unit is the NVIDIA GeForce GT650M, and it's 1 gig dedicated GDDR5, and it has discrete Intel HD graphics 4000. Those are the switchable graphics on the board, and this thing runs at an insane resolution, 2880 by 1800 IPS panel display, and man, does this thing looks gorgeous. I am spoiled by the eye candy that I get from this Retina display on the MacBook. I didn't really think much of it when they announced it last year. I kind of thought, they just kind of want to force that marketing term Retina display out when they have it for the iPhone and they have it for the iPad, but it really does show you its pixel density, which it happens to run at 220. Now that doesn't sound a lot, but a 15-inch laptop, that's kind of a big deal. This version that I have right here has a 512 gigabyte SSD, and this thing, I kind of chose that one for a little bit more storage, so I don't have to rely as much as on my passport to back up all my storage and stuff like that. And according to iStats, I have this application that I downloaded from the Apple Store. This thing is running at an 8,500 and 1,700 milliamp battery. Now let's take a closer look at its hardware. Aluminum uni-body design, such as the last year or the older non-Retina display MacBook Pro models, but in this one the chassis is much thinner, 0.71 inches thick, and it weighs about 4.46 pounds. That is very impressive. Now let's go ahead and take a look on the side of the laptop. We have the MagSafe 2 connector, 2 Thunderbolt ports, a USB 3.0 port, and the headphone jack. And if you take a look to the right side, you will find yourself one more USB 3.0 port and an HDMI port and an SD card slot. They took away the optical drive, which kind of contributes to the thinness of this, and for that extra space that they took away, I guess added to a bigger size battery, which they need to power this Retina display. On this left and right side of the keyboard, you will find the speakers, which is supposed to give you more clarity and fidelity than the non-Retina models, but to me it lacks a little bit more bass. I feel like the older models has a little more bass that you can hear. We have a glass trackpad, which I was surprised to hear that it was glass. Kind of found that out, do a little research. And underneath you will find the vents that Apple used to claim that you will have less fan noise at a lower decibel levels, which I really can't tell. I mean, when a fan spins, it fins. Usually when I'm rendering video through Final Cut Pro. Now, there are 2 main benefits to getting a Retina display MacBook Pro as opposed to a non-Retina display MacBook Pro. As I mentioned earlier, this gorgeous Retina display is one perk, and the second perk is that you get a solid state drive as opposed to a regular HDD. Now, the main benefit of the solid state drive, they can read and write up to 4 times faster than what a traditional hard drive can do. And to give you an example, let's say a traditional hard drive will read and write about 80 to 100 megabytes per second, while a solid state will give you around 4, maybe 5, but usually averages around about 300 to 400 megabytes per second. And with that said, you're gonna see like your bottleneck in every system reduce. And usually in computers, since people usually back in the days when solid states were very expensive, everybody took a regular traditional drive. For one, you get massive storage for a much cheaper price, but it's usually the bottleneck because, like I said, no matter if you get a 6-core processor or a high-end quad-core hexa-core processor, you're only about as fast as your bottleneck piece, and Apple looks to render that with a solid-state drive, which was usually the bottleneck in the older MacBooks. Now, when it comes to gaming, I believe the average gamer will be satisfied. This 1 gig GDDR5 NVIDIA GeForce 650M will kind of get the job done. Just don't try to play any of your games at the max 2880 by 1800 resolution, because you will drop frames and it'll look a little laggy. But for the most part, you drop it down to 1080p, maybe 720p, and your frame rates will average about from 45 to 60. So I mean, I was a little bit disappointed in the video card that Apple chose, especially when you compare this to the iMac. Right, the iMac comes, if you upgrade it for $150 more, to the 680MX, and according to GPUbenchmarks.net, and on a benchmark they use Passmark, right, the 650M scores about a 1274 in comparison to the 680MX. It scores a 4,394. That's a 3,120 point difference. And if you configure the iMac a certain way, it's cheaper than this model that I have here. So I would assume that Apple chose this particular video card for power saving reasons, to conserve the battery life. Now, due to its extremely high price, but I doubt Apple geared this towards high-end gamers. It's just something that you can do if you decide to go that route. This machine is more geared towards editors, guys who's into video editing, photo editing, music, things of that nature. That's what these specs are really geared towards, and that's what they're really made to speed up. Now I want to give you my quick little pros and cons to wrap up this review. I'm going to start with the pros. Having this thing on my backpack, oh my god, it is a pleasure. This 4.46 pounds in my bag is worlds lighter than my previous HP Envy. It's like I don't feel anything in my bag, which can kind of be a bad thing, because if I do forget my laptop somewhere, I probably wouldn't really notice that 4.46 pound difference. And I am just loving this Retina display. As I have to mention again, this Retina display is just eye-candy to my eyes. I can't stop looking at it. Now this thing has quite a few cons from my point of view. Let's start off by saying 2 USB 3.0 points is kinda not enough for me. I'm gonna have to look for a USB hub extender, because I like to have a few things attached to my laptop. My USB condenser microphone, my Elgato Game Capture HD, my EO E10 USB headphone amplifier, which is kind of like an external capture card, and I also have a Kingston card reader for other types of cards, such as Memory Stick Pro Duo and the micro SD card slot, without using the regular SD card slot built into this device. Also, another con, and this is kind of a huge con, the price. I mean, for what it's worth, I kind of don't think that this is worth the $2,800 price tag that Apple marks on it. But like I said, to each his own. I mean, some people will say it will, some people will say it won't. I mean, I do like I said, they have a quality build, chassis, everything like that. But I personally, that if you're gonna spend this kind of money on a computer, I can honestly probably get something a lot more. For example, the iMac, which I can spend a little bit less money on and get something much more powerful. I mean, of course, I'm losing portability because it's made more like a desktop than a laptop. But like I said, for this price point, I believe I can squeeze out more specs, you know, for the dollar, especially if I get a custom PC. Apple has also designed this laptop in a way where the end user cannot make any modifications, such as upgrade the hard drive or upgrade its RAM. Everything is sorted to the board, which I do not like, which kind of forces your hand to get Apple Care. And for a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Pro Retina is $350, which it's kind of expensive on my behalf, especially when Apple Care does not cover any damage that is accidental. Very disappointing to my heart. And like I said, when this thing gets dated, I'm going to be forced to buy the newer MacBook and spend whatever Apple charges, as opposed to the non-Retina display models. They can kind of keep up, because you can upgrade those guys with a solid state drive, and since they took away the optical drive in this one, you can also add an additional hard drive. So you can add a terabyte hard drive, you know, HDD, or another solid state of your choosing. Another con, I mean, this is not a con on my behalf, but some people may view it this way. You do not have the optical drive, which I stated earlier. Again, you know, some people want that drive for a just in case reason, but you know, nowadays people are using physical media such as this less and less, and more digital media that we downloaded from the websites all the time. And this was kind of a huge con for me, a lack of Ethernet port. I have to buy a Thunderbolt to Ethernet adapter for about $30. I mean, once you have it, it's no big deal, but not having that built into this device, it was kind of like, hey, where's my Ethernet port? Anyhow, that's my little review of the MacBook Pro Retina. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if I missed out on anything or any specifics you may want to know about this laptop. I will either shoot a future video on it, or I will just answer your questions through the comment section below. This is Jay Silva from SNNTEC. I'm out, y'all. Later.
Till the day I die, I spill my heart for you, for you. Till the day I die, I'll spill my heart.